Hey, superhero. Welcome to Superhero Sunday. Today, we're going to be talking about how the mind detours into fear. But before we get into all of that, let's simply relax, letting go of the morning, the afternoon, the evening, whatever time it is for you. We just want to just sit here and relax, not worrying about how we're holding our hands, breathing, sitting. We're just coming into a state of relaxation to let it all wash away. So, thanks for joining me today. I see a couple people here watching. We just really want to just take a moment and take a breath, maybe a conscious breath, and realize that you are sitting, that you're listening, that your feet are on the floor. Whatever it may be, we just become aware of everything the body is experiencing. There's no complexity here. It's all about simplifying things, to breaking it down, to just being here, to realize that we cannot separate the speaker from the listener, that it is one stream of energy between us. And that brings us into today's talk, is this detour into fear. Usually when we're in a state of separation, the speaker, the listening, there's a disconnect. And when there's a disconnect between who you truly are, then the mind starts going into the stories. And if you're in this place of separation, then you believe those stories as your truth. And this is where we get into trouble. By believing these stories, we introduce a lot of suffering, lots of pain, lots of disharmony within the body, disease, wondering what else is going to go wrong, that we're not good enough, that we're not worthy, that we're not deserving. And all these voices take a hit on our self-confidence, our self-esteem. Then life becomes even more challenging, almost becomes like a downward spiral. The life continues to get worse, more problems happen, and just all these issues occur because we forget who we are. And Guru Dev talks about this, Sri Sri, that his job is to introduce you to yourself, that we really don't know who we are. We take our voice, this mental noise, as our truth. And that voice is not serving you. It's keeping you separated. It's going into the fear story, the lack story, all that stuff that doesn't serve you. That there's two basic types of energy, this divine love and this mental fear. This divine love is perfect spirit, is the superhero within you. And anything outside of that is usually a fear voice coming from the mind that you're lacking, that you're missing out, that you're not good enough, that you're not worthy. And this fear just consumes you. So you just want to continue to relax, to be here in this moment, to realize when you're aligned with divine love, you are in peace, you are in ease, and you may or may not be in happiness. A lot of teachers talk about being happy, but this is a practice because the mind is so conditional. It's always taking that detour into fear. So for the mind to be happy, these conditions have to be so. So we want to let go of the happiness and just be at peace. Peace is usually a good first step. To be at peace with this situation and to be at peace with ourselves, to accept us unconditionally, that there is no self-improvement. And the self that we're talking about is your spirit, your soul, your consciousness. That is the perfection. So when you're in the self-improvement mindset It's actually a detour into fear because you're not measuring up on some aspect. But when you start loving yourself, accepting yourself unconditionally, there's a synchronicity that just happens, that you become aligned with life. And there's an ease that life just moves without effort. It becomes effortless. So if you feel like you're struggling, that you're fighting, just notice, are you separated from who you truly are? Yes, life happens, lots of challenging situations, but it is a practice to remain in peace, to realize that spirit is never disturbed on what's going on in this moment. And the mind will protest, and that's okay. But we got to come back to peace and see how we can move through this situation, or how we can heal the world, better serve others, to speak out when there is injustice, to remind each other that we're all in this together. There's no escaping Earth. We're all interconnected. And that's why I'm wearing the yellow, to remind you that you are shining this bright, just like the sun. You are radiant beings. That's who you truly are. And any kind of darkness, any kind of filtering is simply coming from the mind, filled with all this noise, all this garbage that doesn't serve you. But how do we get back to who we are? So let's just do a simple practice like we began. We just want to let the whole day go, to realize the point of power is always in this moment. Anytime you're in the story, the mental noise, this could also be emotions as well. For emotions are felt thoughts. And underneath of that, we have to do some exploration. What's coming up for you? So we're just sitting here, letting go of any kind of rules on how to sit, breathe, hold our hands. It might be useful to close the eyes to remove the external stimulations. We just want to just sit here and just be in the point of power. If the mind gets busy, distracted, lost, we don't judge, we don't criticize, we don't condemn. For this will become a thought chasing a thought, and this will keep you out of the present moment. And the whole practice is to stay in this moment, into this point of power. So when the mind gets lost, we don't judge it, we don't condemn it, we just bring our attention back. I'm listening. My feet are on the floor, I'm sitting. The air feels cool, warm. Just engaging your sensations. If the mind gets lost again, simply bring back your attention. It's very simple. The mind loves complexity. But the more you stay in this moment, the more you're aligned with who you truly are. And then you begin to enter a effortless state where life just flows, where there's a synchronicity that just happens without forcing, without demanding. For these are the items of the mind, forcing and demanding. We just want to continue to relax, to realize I'm here and that's good enough. So maybe you're going to open your eyes when the time feels right, but just really I'm alive in this body. So we want to make the most of this moment because we are in body, and we're only in body for short periods of time. 100 years here, 100 years there, 50 years here, 10 years over there. We're just a constant continuation, that we're never born, we never die. We're just a continuation of this energy as perfect spirit, soul, consciousness, whatever you wish to call it. We are that. So I'm here if there's any questions that I can answer for you. I really don't like to I don't feel like the need to do general readings. I think it's more helpful if you have questions and you would like clarity. I think that is more beneficial. So just realize within you, if you're quiet, you're coming back to the point of power, then you're into the place of where you know the answers. It's the place of knowing that this heart is our knower, the mind is the thinker, and the thinker is not in this moment. Just a simple fact, if you just hold like a mouse and you say, oh, that's a mouse, you temporarily lost the present moment to identify it just for a moment, but then you come back. You see it, you identify it, you let that go, and you're like, ah, it's hot, it's cold. And you just notice it, you engage with that. So that could be another practice too, is touching an object and noticing all the details. Yes, Dalby here is talking about fear is a common response to change. The mind does not like change. Yes, and we gotta reframe failure that there is no failure. It's simply feedback to try a different way. And that's all we can do is just keep moving forward, keep trying new ways, not criticizing, not condemning ourselves, not beating ourselves up as we go through this journey, but just keep taking that next step and adapting and adjusting as needed. So I invite you to join the Head Trash Anonymous Global chapter. If you're dealing with this thought addiction and you need some additional support, you can always ask questions in there. And it's really about community. Know that we're here to be a community, to be united, to support and uplift one another. But the mind detours into fear, us versus them. Whatever that may be, we need to let that go and realize that we're all one perfect spirit and we're all human beings doing our best. And if we're human beings, that means we're all interrelated. We're all distant cousins. Some may be closer connections, but at the very least, we are distant cousins. And science has proven this. They can trace back a common ancestor. They can trace it back. So I think they come up with like the 61st or 62nd cousin, something like that. They can come up with to find that connection. So let's see if there's any kind of discussion here, any kind of questions I can answer for you today. Because when we have questions and we need clarity, it's because the mind is overactive. But there's a place within you that knows even the most obscure questions because you're connected to all that is. And when you feel separated, you don't know, you're confused. Life feels heavy, feels like you're carrying the weight of the world on you, that state of separation. Okay, now is asking, common questions are, how do we feel that we can handle the process? So you have to realize that whatever life throws at you, you can handle because you have the infinite strength of the universe behind you. It's simply the mind making you weak, or the stories from yourself, others, that make you feel insignificant, taking those hits to confidence, to self-esteem. But just to pause and be curious. What is the real answer to this? And see what arises. So I do have some cards here if there are some questions, but I really don't feel like doing general readings now. I think it's too basic. You need to set the direction in your life and not depend on others to determine your course, your path. For your path is unique to you. You were born on purpose, for a purpose, to live your soul purpose. And only you know what that is. Yes, you want to feel your emotions. You don't want to bypass. That's spiritual bypassing when you're not feeling your emotions. You want to honor them, acknowledge them, accept them as they are, but then dive deeper. What's the story behind this? Why am I taking this story as my truth? And doing this self inquiry process. Although we want to honor all of our emotions, we don't want to push them under the rug. We don't bring them out on the surface, expose them for what they are, and just see what the story is behind that. Because everything has a story, a root issue behind it. It could be something that happened at 2 or 3 years old that you don't know because the mind doesn't have the ability to recall back to that time. But you can sit quietly and say, why does this happen? And just sit. See what arises for you. Because your spirit never goes to sleep. It's always aware of every moment, recording every moment. If we can be still, we can tap into that wisdom. Why did I feel this way? Why did this occur? And we can get the root issues that everything's a manifestation of our thoughts, even the collective tragedies in the world that make no mental sense, no logical sense. Because spirit doesn't operate according to the natural and physical laws of science. Spirit can do all things. This is why my diseases went away that weren't supposed to go away, like MS, bipolar, arthritis, whatever it may be, it can just go away. Only thing that's keeping it here is the addiction to the story. And sometimes it may not release, because maybe that's part of your soul purpose, is overcoming this and now allowing it to affect your peace, your joy in this moment. But we need to be mindful of always chasing happiness, because then it becomes conditional that this and this have to happen for me to feel happy. Why not just be in peace and accept this moment, accept the way you're feeling? Speaking out when there's injustice, lending a helping hand when we can, to realize that this too is my relative. They are my relative. They are my relative. Everyone is your relative. So why we live in so much division, fear, hate, the violence? It's all because we detour into fear, the separation of the mind. And there's some other things that we can let go of that are judging and critical of ourselves. The self-improvement movement. That's just a mental activity of judging yourself. Just accept yourself. Try that first. And then if you don't like the way life is unfolding, what steps can you take? What is the next step for you? To take that journey into something that is unknown, that is scary to the mind, and realize it's going to work out okay. Because ultimately, there are no mistakes in the universe. This is very hard to see, but there are no mistakes. Everything's unfolding in ways we cannot understand, we cannot logic out. Because once again, spirit does not go according to logic, what makes sense. Spirit is saying what's going to help you grow, what's going to help you expand. Because this life is just a continuation, this body is just a continuation of this intelligence, this energy that was never born, never dies. There's just an intelligence that animates this body. And we're just continuations, different expressions. That's all. I see there's some people watching here. If there's some questions, I can answer for you. If you need direction, we can pull a card and we can tune into the situation because you might not have this clarity. We're not taught to practice knowing ourselves. We're constantly judged and criticized. Even when you're a young child, your parents may have said, go put your clothes on. When you came out, they could have said, oh my, that doesn't match. Go change. Why? Let that person be as they are. Simple things like this create doubt within yourself. So we want to have that confidence, that self-esteem that I don't need anyone else's approval. I'm not embarrassed by the world, for I'm doing my best. It's not my concern if they approve of me or not. I'm simply doing my best. What is the downside to not taking action? Well, that's the thing though. Spirit is giving you these steps. It's up to you to act on those steps, to live your soul purpose, if you will. If you don't take these steps, then life will unfold in a different way that might not be in your greatest good. So it's really about taking action from the heart and allowing life to unfold on that path. But this is our free will. You can choose a different path. I don't like this path that Spirit is telling me to go. I'm just going to sit here and do nothing. But then the mind will start getting into, the stories that life is difficult, nothing works out, and all this stuff. Yes, the steps that you get from Spirit are going to be difficult. They are going to challenge you. In my case, my balance was very, very poor. When I heard that voice say, do yoga. So I signed up and I did yoga. Yeah, I was tipsy when I first began, but that's okay. 6 months later, I didn't need the cane anymore, but I didn't doubt that voice. We're always doubting our own voice. Once we trust that voice and realize sometimes it's a little bumpy because the mind's going to protest. The mind isn't used to listening to your heart. It's going to protest. It's going to say, you can't do this. Who are you to do this? And all these diminishing stories, giving you a defeatist attitude of just giving up. And that's the hardest thing, for us, is to let go of those stories that the mind sees as useful. And I'll just share one story to answer Casey's question here, is that when you're in an MS story, nobody has expectations of you. People open doors for you. It can be a very easy life. There's no challenges there. There's no demands on you, but it's a life filled with lots of pain, lots of suffering. But the mind doesn't care about that. It's looking about the ease of the situation. So to say no to disability, I don't want to hand out. I'm going to go live my life on my terms. The mind definitely gets into protest about that. All right, let's dive into Casey. This is a big question. I think a lot of people deal with this, so I'll bring this up on this. All right, Sandy, want to repost your question? All right, Casey, this is a very common issue. This is the space I was in 2014, 2015. But then once you cannot make your bills, you struggle to feed yourself. There's some challenges that come, that we got to take care of our basic survival needs. And I'll pull a card on this as well, but it's really about basic survival. And there's a Zen saying that's coming to me. Chop wood, carry water. After awakening, you chop wood, you carry water. That life itself essentially doesn't change. So when you're looking for something to do for the greater good, that's the mind going into the story that I have to do something from the greater good. It's really about coming back into spirit and allowing that path to unfold. Maybe the greater good is a mental story. There's something behind that that needs to be explored. And I was there too. So now I just live my life and do my best to trust spirit. Spirit will guide you onto the path. But we get a little swayed off that path at times. And that's okay. We let go of any judgment, any criticism. It's just life unfolding. So, Casey, on that, we're getting, yeah, it is the challenge. And let's get some more details on that challenge card. All right, the challenge. Oh, and the sorrows card. Okay, when I really let's tune into the challenge, the sorrows. So the biggest challenge is letting go of those things that aren't really serving us. And that's usually the mental stories, even the subtle ones, the greater good. Well, what does that really mean, the greater good? The first, we have to make ourselves a priority to really learn who we are so we can best impact the world. A lot of people chase the greater good without really knowing who they are and really being in alignment with who you are. Then the next step will appear. And the challenge is now there's a disconnect. The mind wants to do the greatest good. The spirit is saying, do you know yourself fully? Are you trusting yourself fully? Is the mind still in control? Is there any type of judgment, criticism of yourself, of others? The mind loves to criticize friends, family, whoever it may be. We got to get it out of that habit and let go of any kind of conditioning. This is a big challenge because we are in the human body. What's really about relaxing, trusting, and learning to honor this voice, this inner voice within us, and not this mental projection. So it's really about getting to know yourself first is the first step. Then learning to trust that voice and the path that will lead you on. And you will do something for the greater good in the future because it will lead you on the right path to make the biggest impact onto humanity. But it's about slowing down, taking a few steps back, maybe, readjust, and realize that path will open. All right, so there's a question here from Sandy. Let's dive into the Sandy here. All right, so how are you being successful at this new job, Sandy? Let's take a look. I'm going to pull two cards here for you, Sandy. If you want two cards, let's see what it says about the new job. Um, the birth card, new start, with the lives card. Okay, let's dive in. Okay, realize that each moment is a new step. And notice the story is coming from the mind that this isn't working out. They don't like me. I don't understand. I can't figure this out. And the mind just continues to go onward and onward and onward. These are all lies. These are all stories. They hired you. You got their blessing. They approve of you. So just be you. That's how you become successful, is just be you. by staying in this moment and not getting lost in the mental stories, the mental expectations, the goals, the KPIs, depending on your company. But just being here in this moment to realize all my power is here. So where are my feet? What do I see? What do I hear? Hearing their words without the mind muddying them up. Because maybe they're giving you instructions. You do this job this way. But your mind's so lost, it doesn't really understand those instructions. But maybe if you're just fully here and you can fully hear, that's right, you want to be fully here so you can fully hear to fully listen, to let go of these muddy interpretations. But it's really about a practice of being you. Ultimately, we're in a place where it's not okay to be us. You got hired. They want you to be you. Just relax in that. Just relax and I'm just being me. The more I can stay present, the more me I can be. All right, that's what I'm feeling there. Yeah. Yep. Saying yes, it's all about staying present. Right. It's about survival, paying the bills, taking care of your needs. And just realize when you're present, if that job doesn't serve you anymore, that will go away and something else more in alignment will come. Because spirit is always rooting for you. Spirit always wants the best for you. It's always trying to nudge you onto the best path for you. But we get lost in these detours, these mental detours that are not serving us. Even give subtle stories of the greatest good helping others when we haven't even known ourselves first. The power of us being in this moment. All right, Dolly has a question. All right, let's tune in. I'll just pull in two cards again. It feels right pulling two cards. Give me a little more direction to tune in. Okay. All right, you're getting the honor card with the love card. Let's tune in. Just honor yourself that you're doing your best in this moment, that this is a moment of patience, of waiting for things to align, whether it's paperwork, flights, time, other assorted activities. But just really about honoring yourself right now. And this is the time to practice love, unconditional love, this divine love. For this is who you truly are. To let go of the judgment of the family, the friends, your associates. Just saying there's no need to criticize, there's no need to judge. Everyone's doing them, and that's fine. It doesn't matter if they're lost in their mind or not. It really doesn't. It doesn't concern you. It's about all honoring yourself, focusing on you, which is our theme for today, is being you, not allowing the mind to detour into fear. The stories of I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, I'm not deserving, I don't have the skills. Who am I to do this? Anything that creates separation and division is that detour into fear. So right now it's the time to practice to honor yourself, to make yourself a priority, and only focusing on your journey of self-discovery by knowing yourself as divine love, doing your very best in this moment, not criticizing, not condemning yourself, others, situations. and not bypassing either as well, to honor the feelings that you're feeling, but to approach it from a place of love, of understanding. I feel upset, overwhelmed, anger. I see you, anger. I see you, frustration. Where does this originate from? And allow Spirit to guide you to pull out that root, to understand, so it no longer has that power over you. But everything works out perfectly when we honor ourselves, loving ourselves unconditionally, and not bypassing any of these emotions that we're feeling. It's easy to bypass the difficult emotions, but now's the time to dive into them, to see, why am I angry? Why am I frustrated? Why am I impatient? Whatever it may be, explore. So this delay is a great time for exploration. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, this is perfect, Casey. This is perfect. Realize, yes, this is it. Casey knows that she knows. Tap into that area that you know this. But living that is the challenge, because the mind grows impatient. The mind wants to hurry up and make this so. But once it all begins with us, as Guru Dev reminds us, his job is to introduce us to ourselves, the self being the divine spirit within us. Yeah, you want to keep the jaws right. You're there to create income. It's survival right now. It's always survival. That's a basic need, that we have to have housing, food, take care of ourselves, and taking that time to getting to know who we truly are, and just trust that door will close when it needs to close. Another door that will open up that serves my greatest good. Realize there's nothing for you to figure out. Nothing for you to figure out. It's just trusting that voice within you to guide you. That one door will close when the time is right. Another door will open once we dive into who we truly are, and we can relax despite the situation, the challenges that we face. Okay, here we go. More question from Ryan. Your creative business ideas. Let's dive into that. Okay. And then I'll leave here it's already getting late, so I'll be leaving here in a few minutes. I got a few more minutes, so I have some things to attend to. So, all right, for Ryan. Okay, pulling out 2 cards here for Ryan on his creative business ideas. Okay. Wow. A common theme here today. The lies, the mental stories, along with the courage card. Let's dive in. So just realize you have all these creative ideas, but then the mind comes along with these stories saying your ideas aren't good enough. No one's going to like these ideas. No one's going to appreciate what I do. And the mind gets into this fear, this lack. And the courage card is showing that the fear is strong. To have courage is the opposite of fear. And when the courage appears, it's reminding you to walk through those stories. They're not rooted in truth. They're rooted on a projection that this isn't going to work out. But if it's coming from deep within you and not a mental exercise, it will work out. So how do you know this is coming deep within you? One key is when you think of this idea, does it bring a smile to your face? Does it bring a sense of joy? Or does it bring a sense of stress, of what am I doing, of worry, of upset? So we want to gauge that feeling when we think about each idea separately. Look at the idea, bring it into you. How does it bounce around? How does it resonate? It brings a lightness, then it's meant to be. It brings a heaviness, then it's usually a mental projection and it's not meant to be. But you want to be aware of the mental stories that you're not meant to do this, that you don't have the skills to do this. Any kind of lack, scarcity needs to go. But you want to do a check on these ideas as well. Are they coming from the heart? If they're coming from the heart, then it's meant to be. But remember, they have to be executed from the steps of the heart, not the mind telling you the steps. Here's this idea, and everything comes from the mind. Here are the steps. Beware of steps, multiple steps. When you hear multiple steps, this is mind. Spirit will give you one step, at most 2 steps. But Spirit is always do this, do this, do this. Very short, succinct. Because Spirit knows conditions are constantly changing. So mind wants to plan everything out. But Spirit realizes life is fluid. All we know for certain is the next step. So we want to get out these multiple steps and just focus on this. And it says in the Bhagavad Gita, focus on the task at hand, not the fruits of your labor. All right, anything else? All right, let's take a look here, Kat. I didn't read this yet, so I just saw a question. So let's bring it up here and take a look. Let's dive in. And yeah, this is probably the last question of the day because I do some obligations. All right, after a doctor's check last week and are finding something else seemingly wrong with my health, I did let it affect me as not as it used to, but it still doesn't feel good sometimes. My emotions and truth waver. I second guess myself, anything around this. Yes, we constantly second guess, but realize anything that's coming from your doctor is just information. It doesn't have to become your truth. It's just information. And just realize the identification with the body as yourself. To realize you're the greater essence that animates the body. And let's pull some cards on this. Let's take a look. 2 cards and let's see what Spirit goes for direction here. Let's take a look. Oh, okay. Interesting cards here. You get the Shaman of Song, which is about listening to that inner voice, get that project into the world. Then you're getting the Death card. This does not mean physical death. This means this is a stop. This is breaking a cycle. So notice the cycle that you're into. Taking the doctor's word as your truth. This cycle needs to stop. It's just information. And you bring that information into your heart to the best of your ability. And then you're getting the song card reminding you to listen to your music, your song, your dance, your voice. And notice how the mind is creating interference that's breaking your dance. You're listening to a waltz. The mind is playing rap. The mind's on a different page. But just realize I got to dance to my heart and I don't need approval from others. This is a challenge, a big challenge to really listen and trust ourselves. And what I'll share my own personal story on this. I won't recommend this to others, but this is what I did. I saw that my doctors was giving me all sorts of information, and my mind was taking that information and distorting it and twisting it, and I didn't have a strong practice at the time. So it's like the information I'm getting from my doctors is not supportive. I'm getting lost in their stories. So I stopped seeing my doctors. I stopped taking my medication. Like I said, I don't recommend this for others, but that's what felt right to me. I noticed I was getting lost into the MS stories, the bipolar stories, the medicine stories. Whatever it was, I noticed I was getting lost. And I was like, this information is not supportive to me. I hear my voice. I will continue to trust and follow this voice. And things worked out for me. 16 months later, when I did see the doctor again, and I had the scans and all the tests done, and it was all clear. Then he questioned me for 45 minutes trying to quantify what I did. I just stopped believing the mind and listened to myself. That's essentially what I did. But you have to do what's right for you. That's the big thing. What is right for Kat? No one else. All that matters is Kat's voice. For the spirit that lives within Kat knows the body the best. Others are just guessing. But the person who inhabits Kat's body knows the best. That's really important. But with the death card, is just reminding you, stop the cycle. You see the cycle that's going. Stop it. Shaman of the song. Listen to your own voice, your own dance, your own rhythms. And take this information that ever feels right to you. I don't live in your body. You live in your body. Do what's best for you. And do you have that faith, that trust in yourself before you proceed? Because there's going to be challenging times from personal experiences, there's going to be challenging times where you're really going to doubt that voice. That this makes no sense. It sounds like my health is going to get worse if I do this. The mind will go down into all sorts of different tangents. But I had to keep that faith, that trust in myself. And my mantra that I had during that time is all is well. I just had a deep sense that all is well. If I keep trusting my voice, all is well. So, yeah, so this is all personal. We have to realize our journey is personal. Whatever anybody says to you is information, it's not your truth. What is your truth is the most important thing. All right, so I think I'm done for today. I don't see any questions. We went a little late here today, very late. That was good. That the mind detours into fear. But it's okay. Mind does what the mind does. We don't judge it. We don't condemn it. We just say, I see that story. I feel that emotion. Let's dive into that. Let's come back to this moment. All right. Well, take good care of yourself. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow is soul messages, but I do change things up. I really feel like just answering questions now. I don't feel like a general reading is necessary. It's my personal belief. I think general readings can take you off your own path. So you really want to have questions about your path, your way forward. Am I following the voice of spirit, or am I lost? Am I detoured into the mind? All right. Well, take good care of yourself. I will talk to you soon. Thanks for your support. Thanks for the love. It's all love, this unconditional love. We are the one perfect spirit. Trust and listen to that voice within you, for it is your truth. Be well.